What is the goal of this video? To demonstrate how to configure the Linux bash shell to send all commands entered to a syslog server. I'm going to be going through this demonstration step by step, outlining what all needs to be done using my favorite Linux distribution, CentOS. So the steps involved: configure a virtual machine for CentOS installation and install CentOS. So let's start with that. Bring up VMware, create a new virtual machine, custom, advanced. I will install the operating system later. Linux, CentOS 64-bit, video demonstration. Next. Assign all my cores. 4 GB RAM. Bridge networking. I don't need more than 3 GB. Use my CentOS 6.5 minimal ISO that I've downloaded from CentOS's website. Don't need USB controller or the sound card or the printer. Start it up. Install. Choose skip to skip the media test and start the installation. I've already verified the download of the ISO. It's good, so I'll skip the step. Hostname for video. I'm going to configure the network right now. It's easier to configure to do it from here rather than the command line. Everything else is good. Apply. Since this is a lab, I don't care for the password. I let CentOS take care of the partitioning and the installation. CentOS installation done. Reboot. Alright, so CentOS is installed. I have the login prompt. Next step. Next step, get IP address and connect over SSH. DHCP was configured during the installation, so my server already has an IP address, and I will connect over SSH. Quickly get the IP address. It's 192.168.2.249. Logged in through SSH. Just configure some session options. I'll use the color system provided by my terminal, and I'll increase the scroll back buffer to 5,000 lines. It'll give me enough to scroll back on. Let's bring my slide back up. Install Vim. Shouldn't take too long. Great, Vim has installed. Let's see what the next step is. Modify rsyslog.config file and specify remote host for sending the syslog and define the facility priority log. Let's first modify the syslog config, then I'll bring up the slide that explains what is a facility and what is a priority. Bring back my terminal, and if I remember correctly, etc. rsyslog.conf. star.star, meaning define the facility and priority, meaning all facilities and all priorities to log, and then the remote host for sending the syslog, that is this remote host, and 514 is which port to send it to. The two @ symbols are right over here. 2 means send it using TCP connection. I'll be using UDP since my syslog server is running on UDP. One @ symbol means UDP, and the IP address to send it to is the IP address of where my syslog server is running. Done. I'll just add spaces so that it stands out. Save and exit. Now I'll bring back the slide and I will show what is facility priority. I'll pause the video. You can quickly read what is a facility, what is a priority. If you want more information, you can just Google any of these keywords. I think the name of the process that defines all of this, you can just Google syslogd.conf. Make sure there's a D at the end, .conf, and you'll get, I think the first hit on Google will explain what all of this is. Alright, next step, get current bash version. So I'll download the latest bash version from their website, and then I'll have to modify a file, and then I'll need to compile this new version of GNU Bash, and then I'll log into this new version of Bash, and you can see whatever commands that I type after that will be sent to the syslog server. So let's continue. Get current version of Bash. For that I think I need wget, so I'm just going to quickly install wget. And then GNU Bash. Downloading. Can be found on the main GNU FTP server. Latest version I think is 4.3. 4.3, 7.6 megs. So right click, copy link address, wget, let's extract it. Let's go into the bash directory that I just extracted. The file I need to edit will be config-top.h. Enter. All I need to do now is enable syslog right here. Define syslog history. If defined, do all of this. So since it's commented out, it won't actually work. All I need to do is uncomment it and then save and exit. Once I've saved and exit, next step, enable define syslog, yeah, and then compile. Alright, so let's go on to the compilation step. Configure, Oh, I need to install GCC, so I'm going to do that. GCC installed. Configure should work now. After configure, make, use 8 processes, and then make install. Alright, at this point the new bash is compiled. Now I need to see if my syslog server is actually running. Our syslog status. It is. I'll restart it since I've changed the configuration. Alright, done. Now I'll rename. Let's first see. Alright, so that's the new version of bash right there. It's been compiled and put into this directory. I'm going to rename it to bash new one, so that all the commands being logged to the syslog will be coming in from bash new one. And here we go, bash new one. Now I need to configure my syslog server so that it accepts syslog messages coming in from 2.249. I'll be using the free version of the Kiwi syslog server. Fairly easy to set up. Inputs. So 192.168.2.249. Add. Apply. OK. Now let's go back and test it out. ls, and let's do cat the file that I modified, config. There. Now I'll go over back to my syslog server, and there we go. From for video bash new one. It's history, and PID, UID is the process ID, and the user ID 0, which is for root, and the two commands that I wrote in, ls and cat config -top.h. One thing you guys might have noticed is this really doesn't give us much information on who actually wrote the command. Another thing I forgot to mention is SE Linux. SE Linux does something which, when changing your bash, messes up the loading of your file system, and I will just demonstrate that right now. I'm going to quickly demonstrate how to make this newly compiled bash version my default bash version. So I'll go into the folder. That's the one I want to make my default bash version. I'll move this bash new one into the bin directory. And then I'll go into this new bash, move the old bash version, which is still called bash in the bin directory, to bash old one, and then I'm going to go into bash old one, and then rename bash new one to just bash. There. So now when I exit and I log back in to Linux, to the CentOS, you will see that it is now going to be using this new bash version. One thing I have to say SE Linux that comes installed by default and enabled in CentOS doesn't play nice with this, and I will quickly demonstrate that also. So this is done, and you can see whatever commands I type here. Since I'm in my bash old one, let me go into now bash and do ls, and now you're going to see all these commands should be being logged in my syslog ls that I just wrote in. And now I'm going to reboot CentOS, and you're going to see exactly the issue that SE Linux creates. So exit out of all the versions of bash. See, it is not letting me log in. That's what happens. Anyway, let me restart it and I will demonstrate exactly what happens and how to fix it also. So it's booting, and now you will see I'll need to display the console as it loads up CentOS, and I will try pointing it out. It goes by pretty quickly, but I'll still try and show you exactly what SE Linux does. Right there, failed. Mounting local file systems failed. Mounting file systems failed. Again, type. I entered the wrong password. There, it won't let me. Oh. There. Same issue. Don't know what that is. And I go around this issue by disabling SE Linux. But at least let me show you how to fix this logging in issue right now. The CentOS disk has an option that allows me to mount the file system in a rescue mode. So I'm just going to do that. Reboot. And I'll quickly hit escape while it's booting up so that I can choose. Oh, I missed it. Let's do it again. CD-ROM drive. Rescue install system. I don't need the network. Rescue environment will now attempt to find your Linux installation and mount it under the directory mount sysimage. So once I've mounted it, I will disable SE Linux and we'll take it from there. Before I disable SE Linux, I'll show you a way of forcing SE Linux to check the file system so that it can remount it. And all you need to do apparently for that is go into your partition. I'll just go into my root partition and I'll just create a file called test, and that is all. Now I'll reboot and you will see this time around when it reboots, it is going to give SE Linux is going to give a message, and that message will do something that I'm not sure exactly what it does, but it does go around the fact that you can now log into your system after that. Right here, warning, SE Linux targeted policy relabel is required. Relabeling could take a very long time depending on file system and speed, file system size and speed of hard drive. So it's going to do this, it's relabeling, I don't know exactly what that is, and then it'll reboot and you will see that I will be able to log in after that. If you're wondering how I get this, I just hit escape when that blue line is starting up. And now I should be able to log in. There you go. I'll also log in from SSH, and you can see now once it logs in from SSH, by default the new bash version, which is sending all your commands to syslog, is up and running. .3, and you will see this has appeared, bash dash dash version. I just typed that in my syslog. There, bash dash dash version. One thing that I wanted to mention was you'll need to recompile bash in order for you to change this part, but there is a way where instead of the PID and UID you can display the username and also modify the format in which the message to syslog gets sent, and I will just demonstrate that right now. If this video is not too long, I can quickly add that part in. So for the steps involved in modifying that string, format the string that gets sent to syslog. That's what we want to do. We need to modify a specific file called bashhist.c that has the string that we want to modify. Recompile bash, make the new bash the default, and then go through all the hoops that SELinux makes us go through for it to clean up the file system and let us basically log back into the shell. So let's get to it. Go back into the bash folder. Vim bashhist.c. I think it's around 80% where we need to go. And there, this one right here. So instead of the PID and the UID, I'll just make our username to be displayed over here, along with the command that user enters. So user underscore name is the property of the class current user that will contain the logged in user's name, and line is the variable that will hold the line entered in bash. So now it's going to show history, %s current username, and this %s will display the command that we have entered. And I'll just copy and paste all of this into here also. Now this is the truncated one. If our command line contains more than the max length, which is defined up here, 600 characters, it's going to send to syslog this string right over here, this one. So we'll modify this also accordingly. Current username, and instead of line, the variable that will hold the truncated string is trunk, I believe. Yeah, trunk. And that's it pretty much. Save, exit. Recompile. make install, and now there's the new one. So I'll go through the same steps that I did with the other one. I'll move bash to bash new one, and let's quickly demonstrate if indeed the new commands that are being sent to syslog are going to be using the modified string. And let's see. There we go. So instead of this old PID UID, now we have history, the username, and the equal sign that I put in, and the command that I entered after that. Perfect. So now after this, it's exactly the same way as I had described before. If you check this video between 14 minutes and 36 seconds and 20 minutes and 19 seconds, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So you'll have to do all of that again in order to get your system up and running. And after that, you'll be good to go, and all your syslog messages will be logged in the new format that you have provided in the bash hist.c file and then compiled it. I hope this video helps someone out. Alright, have a good day, guys.